Welcome back, everybody. It is a chilly January day as we're filming this, but I decided to do the video out here because it's been raining for a few days and it finally stopped. So I wanted to come outside and be outside for a little bit. So we're doing the video out here, and the gun that we're checking out is going to be this one here that you guys have seen throughout the intro. It's the Daniel Defense DDM5V2. So I think in 2015, they came out with their 308 or AR-10 style rifles, Daniel Defense did. And originally it was the V1, which was a 16-inch version only. A lot of people ask for an 18-inch, and I can certainly understand why. In my opinion, 308 performs really well. It's kind of the sweet spot is between 18 and 22 inches, and 18 definitely gives you an advantage, of course, over 16 in terms of velocity, in terms of bucking the wind, all of those sorts of things. So a lot of people want that in AR-10, and it really only adds a little bit of weight. So that's what this is right here. I think this one came out in 2017. And I've had this one in now for probably 6 months for the video. We've shot 1,200 rounds through it, and we're gonna walk you through the reliability and all that stuff that I'm sure folks wanna see. But first, we're gonna let the dogs take a look at it. After that, we're gonna go out to the range and see what kind of accuracy we can get out of this rifle. Now we're going to test the accuracy of this rig. We have a target downrange at 100 yards, primary arms, platinum 1:8 scope on there with the Raptor reticle, and a few different loads for you. Up first is going to be the Federal with the Edge TLR 175 grain load, and we'll see how it does in this rifle. Group looks pretty good from here. Jack that sucker out. I wasn't smart enough to not load mags before I came to the range, so all these are loaded up with M80 ball, and then I had to download them to put these in. But anyway, up next will be the Federal 168 grain. This is the Tactical Tip Match King, so it's a little bit lighter load here, and we'll see how this barrel is. All right, last load up here is going to be some Gorilla ammunition. This should be the 175 grain, and it is the 175 grain Sierra Match King load. So same weight as the first group, but probably is going to shoot differently because it's loaded differently. Our mag is too big. It's all right, no biggie. There we go. We have it properly adjusted for the extendo mag. And let's see how it shoots accuracy-wise. Well, that group didn't look good. Let's go check them out. Again, the first group was those 175 grain Federal load, and right there we are right at center to center. 1.5 inches on that group. Then we came over here with the 168 grainers. Looks pretty darn good, except for that one bastard. But that one there, we're gonna be just under 1.25 inches center to center, so 1.125 inches, 1.25 inches. And down here we had the Gorilla stuff. Definitely did not like that load at all. we're looking at 1.75 inches there across the board. Now again, these are only 3 different loads, guys. There definitely could be ammo out there that shoots a little better. There could be a guy behind the gun that shoots a little better, but we don't reshoot groups here. It's what it is, and really, these two are not bad at all. Probably could tighten it up though with ammo that it liked or some hand loads. Just like I said out there at the range, I'm guessing this barrel is a MOA shooter and can shoot better than what you saw. However, I just tried 3 different loads, so it is what it is. But if you tried some different loads, I'm sure you'd find one that your barrel will like, and maybe a different guy behind the gun helps as well. So we'll start out here at the end and kind of get into the details and walk you through it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff on this rifle. Out here at the end, we have the SSD muzzle device. It's made out of 17-4 stainless steel, and then they nitride it for, you know, good corrosion resistance, hardness, and all of that. It looks like a brake. When I kind of got it in, I was thinking it was a brake, but it's not. It's actually a flash hider and performs as such. So if you look all the way around, the ports are kind of facing forward, but it goes all the way around. So the ports are also on the bottom as well. And basically it's just diffusing that gas as it goes through there. It seems to be a good all-around muzzle device. I shot it in low light like we have right now, kind of about an hour before the sun goes down when you can really see flash, and didn't see a ton. So I think it works pretty darn well. The barrel on this rifle is one thing that differentiates it from a lot of other competitive options. It's cold hammer forged, it's chrome lined, and it's Daniel Defense's strength to weight profile. So back here towards the chamber, it's very thick, basically an H-bar profile back here. And then about 3 inches forward, it starts to taper down to a 0.75 inch gas block in journal rather. And then moving forward, it's a government profile in terms of diameter. So the reason I like it is that back here towards the chamber is where you want that rigidity. It helps mitigate the effects of heat, which are highest back there, and pressure. And of course, it's very rigid, so it's not going to move around a lot. Shot to shot, it's going to stay very consistent. And then down here at the end, it's lighter, so that way when you're firing it, and especially if you're firing from the shoulder or if you have to carry it for a long time, less weight out there on the end allows the shooter to keep the rifle more stable. My opinion anyway, in my experience, I stand by that. Our gas block there is made out of steel. It's pinned in place, which again is one of the things that a lot of people like with Daniel Defense rifles. For some reason, this one says 7.62 on it. I'm not sure that it's any different than a 5.56 one, but it says it on there for what it's worth. It's a 1-in-11 twist rifle length gas system, like we said. I don't know if you guys can hear those geese, but they're going crazy. Getting into the handguard, it is a 15-inch free-floated M-LOK handguard. Of course, out here on the top, we have continuous 1913 rail. It is T-marked on top. And then we have M-LOK positions at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions, as well as the intermediate positions, so like the 1 and 11 o'clock. Down here on the bottom, what would typically be the 4, and the 5, and 7 o'clock is not M-LOK compatible. It's just cut out there to save some weight. But I do like that. If you guys are going to add accessories, lights, lasers, anything like that, you don't want to do it on top like we have just for this example here. It gives you the capability to mount inline mounts and still have, you know, your offset, which is what a lot of people like myself included in a lot of things. So M-LOK all the way around, like I said, we have an air socket grip on there. But the way it interfaces here with the upper receiver really is super, super durable, and one of the things, again, that differentiates this from other 308 offerings out there on the market. It's a proprietary forged upper made out of 7075 T6 aluminum that they do in-house. Same thing here with the lower. And then it has this extension out here where it mounts up via these 4 bolts that bolt it directly into the receiver. So there's really no way this handguard could move, come loose, come off, come forward, anything like that. I checked them. They do have thread locker on there, so it ain't going anywhere. And definitely one of the most durable mounts out there in terms of handguards for sure. The rifle does come with the Magpul 20-round PMag. I should also mention it comes with one of these fancy hard cases here with foam as well. 20-round PMags are excellent. It'll take any SR25 pattern mag to include, of course, the Magpul as you see here, and Lancer mags, and it's functioned with any of them just fine. Lower, like I said, 7075 T6 aluminum. It is ambidextrous in terms of control, so we have our ambi safety here. And then over here on the left side of the gun here, we have our magazine release and our traditional bolt release. Here on this side, again, we have our traditional magazine release and then our bolt release here as well, which is a little bit different than what you would typically see with, you know, your standard AR setup. Geese back there are going crazy. I don't know what they're doing. Not sure if you guys can hear it. But yeah, so you have our bolt lock back here, and then you just want to hit it, send it home. Makes it very fast when you're doing reloads. It's almost like having a bad lever built into the gun, so definitely like that. The trigger on the gun is Geissele's SSA trigger. It's an excellent trigger. It's a 2-stage trigger, so basically you're gonna have your initial stage here, which is gonna be 2.5 pounds, and then when it breaks, it's gonna break right at 2 pounds of pull. It's very crisp. very clean, has a very good reset. Really no need to reinvent the wheel. GNG'S makes excellent triggers. I think we all know that at this point. So definitely a good choice in terms of going with that, in my opinion. Grip here is the Daniel Defense grip. I like this better than some of the earlier ones that had that little piece sticking out like the A2s did. I'm a fan of it. It has a rubber overmold. I wouldn't change it. I don't plan on changing it at all. And it does have, the receiver I should say, does have an integrated trigger guard, which is opened up for glove shooting. Also, the magwell has a really good flare to it. It's something I harp on in a lot of videos, so good on Daniel Defense for that. The charging handle is made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, mil-spec in that regard. However, it's not mil-spec in the way it functions. So the latches here aren't actually, you know, hinging like on a typical charging handle would for an AR system. It's actually just pulling and putting pressure on this little ball detent here, which interfaces with the upper receiver. It's proprietary to this rifle, so you can't swap it out if you guys are looking to do so. However, Daniel Defense does include two different length latches. These are the small ones here on it. I'm not a huge fan of gigantic charging handle latches. However, on a 308 gun, with how hard it is to actually charge the action with the extra spring weight and all the spring power, rather, I should say, and all that stuff, I definitely like having a larger than mil-spec charging handle for sure. This one's done well. I didn't put the extensions on there. However, again, like I said, it does come with it should you choose to do so. The stock is Daniel Defense's proprietary stock. They've had these out for a while now. At first, I really kind of didn't like it, but it's grown on me. The one thing I will tell you is if you have facial hair, it can get caught up in this system for sure. It's pretty tight there all the way around. It's got a nice snug fit. This latch there releases the pressure and lets you adjust it down to wherever you choose to do so. Of course, we have our mil-spec extension on there, and the castle nut there is staked down in two places, so good on Daniel Defense for that. The stock here has an anti-rotation QD sling attachment point. You can also run a traditional sling through there should you choose to do so. We have another QD point there on the rear end of the end plate, rather, of the receiver, I should say. The bub pad that the stock comes with is pretty traditional in terms of how it interfaces there with your shoulder. It has an angle to it, which in a ton of different stock videos I've said that I do like. The reason is when you kind of roll the rifle up naturally to your shoulder from the low ready especially, it just kind of naturally fits your shoulder pocket, as most folks would like. However, if you're doing a lot of prone shooting or just shooting for extended periods of time, Daniel Defense does include this additional padded portion here that you can swap out there, and it will give you a little bit longer length of pull for one. So if you're like Hickok 45 and 6'10", there's an advantage there, and it also gives you a little bit more padding to help soak up the recoil. However, with this rifle, with the rifle and gas system, the muzzle device, and the way it's gassed, it's a very pleasant rifle to shoot. I pulled the rifle apart off camera because I didn't want to look like an AR noob. The upper and lower are super tight in terms of fit. You need kind of a punch to get them out, so I wanted to spare you the time of that. But I want to get into the bolt carrier group. It is a unique bolt carrier group, and I kind of wish it was available for aftermarket purchase, but it's not, at least at the time of this video. So our firing pin there is retained, our little retainer rather, is retained into the carrier, so you can't lose it. That's a nice touch that I do like. It has a solid top here. I know some of the 308 bolt carrier groups are going to have relief cuts there. And then, of course, we have the channel here to allow the trigger to get in there. We do have forward serrations on there because the rifle has a forward assist, which I like. A lot of people don't like, but I like to tap it every now and then. It makes me happy, and I dig it. So the bolt also has some cool stuff going on here. So number one, it has two ejectors. So I think, here's my prediction for you. 10 years from now, all AR-10s are going to have two ejectors, at least the bolts are. And the reason for that is that ejector springs tend to wear relatively fast in any AR, but with 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor, it's even faster. So having double in there is kind of like a backup and a fail-safe, particularly when you have a shorter barrel. So barrels 20 inches or less, which this falls into that category, they unlock faster than longer barrels, right? It sort of just makes sense. And it helps with that, that quick unlocking to get that round out of there reliably. So our extractor here is also unique to Daniel Defense in terms of the geometry of it, and as is our extractor retaining spring here. So it's not a typical retainer, it's this little bar, and then up under there we have the black insert and a spring, again, that is proprietary to Daniel Defense. They say it's heavier than normal, again, and that's to aid in kicking that case out as fast as possible. The back end of it here is pretty standard, so nothing too fancy there. And then our cam pin, they say, is also a different dimension. Looking at it, I can't tell a difference rather in other 308 ARs out there. However, they say it's different, and that's good. So if it is, good on them. Additionally, it has a kind of like a fail-safe in there, so that way you can't assemble this bolt carrier group wrong. On this side, we have our open hole. When you assemble it, that's going to have your ejector facing the right, which is how you want it. And then over here, we have a smaller hole, so that way you can't put your cam pin in the wrong way like you can on a lot of AR-15s. So definitely some cool stuff going on here with the bolt carrier group. Just a few other points to touch on here, guys, before we close it out. Number one is going to be reliability. That's one thing I always like to harp on for good reason, because if guns don't go bang, that's not good. So this one here is just over 1,200 rounds through at this point. It has had 4 malfunctions. All of them were in the first 150 rounds. The ammo we put through this rifle predominantly has been PPU M80 ball from LAX ammo. I also tried, after it had a couple malfunctions, I threw some Federal M80 ball in there and had a couple malfunctions with that. Went back to the PPU. After 150 rounds, not a single malfunction of any kind. So I'm not sure if it's a break-in issue or what it was, but I'm just reporting what's happened, at least in my experience with the rifle. So at this point, though, I would feel very comfortable trusting it reliability-wise because it's had over 1,000 trouble-free rounds. So that is good. The next point to talk about is going to be price. Not inexpensive, as you'd probably expect for a Daniel Defense rifle. Their AR-15s aren't inexpensive. Their AR-10s are not either. This one with the deep woods finish here comes in, I think, MSRP'd right around $3,200, $3,300. However, if you look around on the street, you can find them for about $2,900-ish. And if you follow me over on Facebook and see like sale codes and stuff like that, you can knock another $300 off that. So that's about the best you're going to find them for, at least in January 2019 anyway, as I'm filming this video. So that puts it in some pretty price competitive, rather a pretty price competitive market with like LMT, Knights Armament. The Knights is going to be more for sure, a good bit more, but it's around what the LMT would be, and those are proven rifles. And I would say in terms of build quality, product specs, all those sorts of things, it's in that league, right? So we have our cold hammer forged barrel, we have the chrome lined bolt carrier group, a lot of innovation that went into the current SR25 in terms of the bolt carrier group is definitely reflected here with Daniel Defenses. It's not really a copy, but some of the ideas they definitely took from it, and that's a good thing. Those are improvements that I like for sure. Good stock, good furniture, all of that stuff. Bomb-proof lockup system here. Great trigger with the GNG'S SSA. And really, it's just a well-built rifle overall. Like I said, it has 2 different stake points here on the castle nut, so there's a lot going for it. However, it's not for everybody. We all just kind of have to understand that. There's a lot of folks that want to run a $1,200 Smith & Wesson or, you know, a $1,000 AR rifle, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are good guns too, but this rifle, in my opinion, offers something a little bit different. So it really kind of depends where you're at in the market and what you want, but if you want a good, well-built rifle that's refined and kind of comes range ready and you don't have to tinker with it and swap stuff out, this is what I look at if you're in the market for one at that price point. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can always post down below in the comment section. You can also post them over at my Facebook page that I mentioned earlier. That is where I will be most likely to respond to you. I get about 2,000 messages over there a day as of right now, and I answer all of them within a week, usually within 2 days. So if you need an answer from me on whatever the case may be, that's the place to hit me up for sure. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed and you're still here in the video, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope to see all of you in the next video.